Hey guys, so I want to talk to you guys that in order to tackle, the AI learning experience, to simplify and cut it into little chunks, you don't overthink about it. I'm gonna give you an example. An intimidating goal is to master the machine learning, and like this week I'm going have a goal on a week. Like for example, this week I'm gonna understand what's the difference between having a supervised versus an unsupervised learning, right? Next, I can find some sort of tutorial. Like, trust me, how I learn from this, YouTube is a whole open book of media. So YouTube is the perfect place to learn a lot. And so I'm gonna give you an example. Like you wanna learn about large concept like natural language processing. And also you can collaborate with the ChatGPT while you're learning. Something you don't understand, you ask direct question. You should get some answer. Of course, you should verify where the source coming, because AI, it's not exactly in the beginning of the stage, but you know that it usually hallucinates sometimes with the information. And get achievable goal in the week. Let's say my goal for this week is to write a simple script that I can take a paragraph or text or perform sentence. Like for example, a script that you write from a paragraph, so that way that the machine will analyze the performance of the emotional content of that information. And instead of just focusing on a big huge goal, try to segment like little chunks of the information, so that way you understand, have a fundamental, because the foundation of learning how a system works, for example, like a system that has a front end and a back end, you can use analogy like a restaurant, where the front end is like a waiter that asks you what you want, and you actually exchange that information, and then the waiter goes to the back end where the chef is and actually get whatever you're asking for. Like for example, I want a steak, potatoes, and medium rare steak, right? So the chef, knowing that information, now is gonna go to a fridge. So it's kind of like a database where it has a lot of ingredients, and he'll take the ingredients and follow up. So this is pretty much similar to what an AI do already, is that you tell them specifically what you want, and it will try to follow the prompts to elaborate and make what you're trying to program. And of course, it's not always going to be straightforward. There's always going to be some debugs. Me personally, I spend a lot of tokens in a certain app, but it's trial and error. Like machines are kind of like when when I was in university and I studied electronics, and the blueprint, everything works perfect. But when you apply the circuit, something always out of nowhere happens. And even if you have all the components linked together, for some reason something happens. So don't beat yourself so hard and just backtrack. So in this type of programming, like the software composition, you can actually go back in time and get to where the program was already functioning with no issue. And then from there, you try to experiment with more prompts, different words, be a little bit more specific. And of course, this is all going to take trial and error. So don't beat out yourself, and because everything takes time, anything. And also, as a successful restaurant, you don't have to think on day one how to operate the whole thing. You just focus on one section of the kitchen, and little by little you'll be building the knowledge that you actually need for AI composition. So for example, don't go day one and greet everybody and try to command and do irrelevant stuff that you think you're doing something and it's not going anywhere. Instead, go to the kitchen, go take a carrot, start chopping little by little, watch how you do it, see if you made mistake, go ahead and fix it. So instead of running the whole thing, why don't you just go in a little section, like a line of Python, one line of code, and see what actually that does, and understand the process of what everything is involved, from the APIs, database, the front end, which is the user interface, the back end, where the database is, and where only people are authorized to get into that and change the website or the app or etc. Right? Okay, so what's next? Now that we know that we're taking small steps, like for example, in the restaurant, we're learning how to cut a carrot, but that's just learning in theory. So chopping carrots, dicing onions, peeling potatoes, you'll get really bored real fast. So instead of just learning the ingredients, you're actually never tasting the food. So for example, let's say learning about cutting a carrot, right? Try to play with your food instead of just going for the next ingredient, knowing how to do it. Just implement that, right? Implement that little thing that you just learned, because knowledge by itself is good. Everybody would be wealthy if it was just everything about knowledge without implementation. So you have to find out somehow to implement what you learn. For example, you did this little project on Bolt, and Bolt is a really good software, composing software. Instead of moving to a next project, why don't you just change little things and experiment? I did my own clock, like a percentage clock right here, and that's all based with playing what I learned. So yeah, guys, put some emphasis of using what you're learning. And for example, me, I'm doing this channel. Well, trust me, dude, I gotta learn how to run a channel and all that stuff. But if I day by day and have a plan and actually committing to the plan, actually sticking to, okay, let's see what can I improve next, then with that mentality, you can actually learn anything. You just don't quit. All right, so remember, don't feel overwhelmed trying to run a restaurant out of the blue, right? So I recommend you just go to the kitchen and start with a single carrot. Start chopping that carrot. And whatever your goal is, try to break it down to the smallest steps you can do each day. And also, like I tell you, play with your food. If you learn something, no matter how insignificant it is, try to implement it and have fun with it. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's part of mastery, implementing what you already learned. So don't collect ingredients, can turn into a game, who knows? Now, I got a challenge for you, and I know because you're watching, right? But doing is what matters. So your first step is not to go in a 3-hour journey learning. Actually, your first thing to do is go to the comment section and comment, what is your little tiny thing you're proposing to learn today from AI? Declare that small carrot in the comment section down below. That way, we as a community can grow together, right? Remember, you don't have to be an AI composer software. As long as you have the strong fundamentals, you do the little things little by little, you're gonna build that over time. Because this is a journey, we are together. We are the future pioneer of the future. Because without us, without engineers, or the people who are gonna be behind running all this stuff, right? Thank you so much for watching this video. It actually meant a lot to me. I'm putting the work. Like, subscribe, and chop your little carrot. I will see you in the next video.